independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When do you think this pandemic is, when's it going to be done? When are we going to get back to normal?
Solid question,
All
Anderson.
the experts, they tell me be careful not to predict things that you don't know for certain what's going to happen, because then you'll be held accountable. I get that. But let me tell you what I think. It's a high probability that the vaccinations that are available, those vaccinations, the ability to continue to spread the disease is going to diminish considerably because of what they call herd immunity.
Biden last night, town hall. It was interesting. I watched some of it. Didn't get a chance to watch all of it. Listened to some of it as well. So I got through most of it and saw some of the other stuff I didn't see. They did an okay job. You know, it's funny. I get a lot of people say, oh, my God, he's crazy or he's nuts and they're going to take advantage of him. I'm going to put the stop there. Nobody can take advantage of this guy the way that people think. Nobody is. His wife would never allow that. Men, you know what I'm talking about. On the other side, if it was your wife and they started taking advantage of her because they thought that maybe, you know, that they were losing it a bit and they were out there in public embarrassing themselves and they were running around. That'll never happen. So stop that here. Stop that here. Okay, just for a second, stop that here. Thought he did okay last night. It's the vaccine, it's the virus. That is top of mind for everybody. Because as goes the virus, as go the vaccine, so goes our world. Kids back in school. Economy starts to move. People back at work. Less stress of the unknown of what's going to happen tomorrow. Is my kid's school being shut down? Is my business going to be told it can only operate at 40% capacity? As it goes, so goes us and the rest of the world. It's the how soon can we get there scenario. Much like I say, when you go buy a car, your question, 99 times out of 100. I got a good friend, runs a big dealership here, and I said, what's the number one question you get asked? What's my payment going to be? People want to know, when's this going to end? It's the number one question. When is it going to end? Not how is it going to end. When is it going to? When do we get back to normal? When is this done? It could still be here. Endemic, pandemic, it'd still be here. But when are we getting back to normal life?
Next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing, than we are today. I think a year from now, I think that there'll be significantly fewer people having to be socially distanced, have to wear masks, etc. But we don't know. So I don't want to overpromise anything here.
No, but I think people are looking at you, the whole thought process, you're going to come and do a better job. Well, first of all, the bar for this was set very, very low. We all know that. Extremely low. And you can only do so much. I don't look for my leaders to solve all the problems, especially problems where they're your problems. They're my problems. We created them, sometimes through no fault of our own, sometimes through some choices, or sometimes through the local part of politics. There may be issues. But for this, it's the federal side. How fast can you get stuff out? How fast can we get this stuff made, bought, get it into people's arms who want it? And I still didn't hear anybody ask the question, hey, Mr. President, give us an honest answer. 6 months from now, we've got 500 million dosages out there, but only 150 million people have taken it, and another 50 million or so have the antibodies because they've contracted it. And so essentially we're nearing that herd immunity, but there isn't a situation where we've gotten to what some people would say that 80 to 85% of people vaccinated. We can't live our lives based on some who refuse to get it and based on some who can't get it. Some people can't, whatever reason. Some of it's religious, some of it allergies. But we can't live our life in a sense where we go, okay, here's the deal. Your business can only operate at 50%. and everybody's got to wear a mask forever because these people over here won't get it. So that's a real question. I don't hear too many people asking it, whether it's to Jen Psaki or to Biden, and those things need to be asked. And then you throw in the fact that we seem to be moving along at a pretty good clip, and lo and behold, the winter weather throws a giant curveball, and it has, because now you're going to have vaccines delayed for a bit. True, it sucks, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot people can do because, as we always say here, and trust me, we got a lot of it today, where nature will mess you up. Nature's come in and said, we're going to make Texas freezing. The Midwest is going to be a giant ice skating rink. Parts of the Southeast are going to be cold and tornado-y, so be prepared for that. The vaccine supply may slow itself down going from point A to point B.
He said we're looking at nearly more than 600 million doses of these vaccines available by July, the end of July. That's enough to vaccinate every American who wants one, he said. As for when life will return to normal, the president said that there's a strong chance we could reach herd immunity by Christmas.
But what if people choose not to take it? What if people out there make a choice? And I'm a big choice person. I've always said that. I wouldn't have closed things down. I would have had people wear masks, socially distance, be responsible, which is tough because turning stuff over to human beings it's because human beings are idiots. And we know that. And it's tough to do, but I'm going to trust you. And some people can't be trusted. But that's where you, if you have an establishment, that's where you as an individual need to take responsibility for yourself. I can't have you responsible for somebody else. And I don't want to police everybody. But I would like to know the answer of what if 30% of people who could get this choose not to give this? Are we going to continue down this path that we're on right now because they don't want to get it? So we're going to be beholden to their choices? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It is cold. It is nasty. Man, Texas is a hot mess. I think to say the least, it is nuts what's going on in Texas. I talked to a couple of my buddies yesterday. We were texting back and forth, and you have 3 million people without power. You've got it is like a lot of things. You know, we see it every year when it comes to California and the wildfires, and then the power company is like, we don't have enough money for all this stuff, but we'd like to raise your rates, and we're not going to take care of anything. You look out in Texas, they've got serious issues and questions about their power companies. Why weren't you better prepared for something like this? Yes, I know it's a once-in-a-century storm, but there's more behind this.
This is Texas that we're talking about that looks more like a Midwestern city. And this is also a region where this type of wintry weather happens infrequently, happens very rarely. So you don't have this fleet of snow plows and salt and sand trucks.
No, you don't. But still, you can be kind of prepared. And it's Texas. Everybody's got a truck. Everybody's got a truck. Should be able to do this. But the power side of things is very interesting. Because you have a lot of people without power. People are asking questions. Why weren't you prepared? What the heck's going on here that you couldn't have got in front of this? The one thing about something like this, you see a wildfire, you know what you're looking for in the heat and the way that it's kind of the storm that you can see. You understand. This, people kind of had an understanding how cold. I don't think they thought it was going to get this cold. But there's still some questions out there.
We heard the Texas governor saying that he is frustrated by what's been happening here and has called for an investigation into the power operators of the state, and also for there to be restructuring, that this absolutely cannot happen again.
No, cannot happen again. Cannot. And if you're living a couple of my buddies, they're like, look, we got a generator, so we're okay, but we have friends who are taking pallets and they're all just hanging out essentially in the living room. They have no power, and they're throwing, they're making fires in their fireplace. The fireplace, they probably thought, we'll never use this. So they're doing that. And a lot of people are staying in their cars. And one of the big reasons is not only does it have heat, but it has power. And if you know anything about Americans and all of us today, what scares us more than extreme heat or extreme cold? No electricity to charge our stuff. And without electricity to charge our stuff, we are lost. We are lost. So fire up your car, get on out there, and watch your Netflix. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text. Love hearing from you. A lot of stuff, more vaccine stuff. It is also Woke Wednesday. We got a lot of good woke stuff today. Your whiteness. How white are you? Wait to hear this story. Spectacular. I don't even know. I'm beige with freckles. That's not on here. But let's just say it goes from white supremacist to white abolitionist. And this is something that they've sent out in New York to some parents. Talk about their whiteness, to recognize their whiteness. Oh, it is America, baby. America. 323-538-2423. That's the text line. Tweet at us at Chad Benson Show. Love hearing from all of you. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube and, of course, Chad Benson Show over on the Facebook. All right, let's talk about my dog, Doodle. I went home last night and he was bugging me. I love him, but the rough greens has got him to the point where he acts like he's a puppy, but at the same time, still a little grumpy because he's a grumpy old man. My dog, Doodle, was probably going to be put to sleep about a year ago. Bad hips, couldn't walk. We put him on rough greens. We tried everything, and we put him on rough greens, and it has changed his world. It's a supplement. You pour it onto your dog's food. That stuff that you get your dog at the store, it's meant to live on a shelf. It's not meant to be living food. And rough greens takes care of everything. He doesn't itch. He has tons of energy. His digestive issues, which he had some, were bad, but those fatty tumors that he had on his hips and his arthritis, it's all but gone. 100% all natural product. FDA registered facility is where it's made. Tasty powder. My dogs love it. And it's got vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, omega-3, 6, 9, probiotics, you name it. So what are you looking for this? Giving it a chance. That's all I want you to do. If you got a dog and you love your dogs, do what I did. Healthier, happier life. Try Rough Greens right now before you even buy it. All you got to do is cover the shipping, and they're going to give it to you for free. Get your free bag of Rough Greens today. RUFFgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog77. 833-MyDog77. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, they make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, man!
Yeah, you ain't eating anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
We should have been prepared for this. People are suffering because of the lack of planning and preparedness by the people in positions to do so.
It's a caller, pissed. All the power's off in Texas. Every year we get it somewhere, right? We get it. Whether it's California, the hurricanes throughout, parts of the Southeast and Puerto Rico. We get these kind of things. Some things you can prepare for. Some things you can absolutely prepare for. And sometimes California is a perfect example of overregulation. Well, you can't dry cut anymore. You can't do controlled burns in certain places anymore. So you allow these things to become fuel for a fire. Texas, totally a freaking mess, as one person puts it, and I think they're right.
You call them, you can't get through, they don't respond. This is a freaking mess.
Yeah. Should have been better prepared, but I'm not quite sure because Here's the way that places, not just here, but even when we see it with the rollout of what's going on nationwide with the vaccine and a lot of other stuff. So many things in life are reactionary. They're reacting to something. They're not forward thinking. You know, pilots will tell you when you fly on big giant airplanes, the big giant ones. I'll tell you, we think of everything. If every engine fails, if we go dark, we have a checklist of stuff. But yes, every once in a while, something will happen. Something's going to get through. So it's nasty. It is nasty right now. And saying that, it's going to be about 70 here. We're going to hit 80, I think, tomorrow, or Friday. So I just in case you guys are like, oh my God, I hope they're going to be okay there. Oh, we're going to be fine. Don't you worry. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the pro. Biden last night. Let me tell you what Biden is sick of. No, let him tell it.
Have you picked up the phone and called any former president yet?
Yes, I have.
Do you want to say who?
No, I don't. They're private conversations. But, by the way, all of them have, with one exception, picked up the phone and called me as well.
I know you don't want to talk about them, but...
No, but look, I'm not going to call names out. Look, for 4 years, all that's been in the news is Trump. The next 4 years, I want to make sure all the news is the American people.
It's true. Trump ain't going anywhere, but he is in a lot of ways. Let me tell you how it works in most places. People start to forget. Out of sight, out of mind. The question is, can he keep up what he started and keep it in the public eye without the things he used and the tools he used to grow it? But it has been quiet. Let's just be honest. A little quieter. Just saying. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I was told I had to sit and wait 15 minutes to make sure there was no reaction. And I said, I'm delighted to sit.
That right there is Fran Goldman. She's 90 years young. And guess what, kids?
Walking in snow over snow. I got my vaccination.
10 inches of snow, 3 miles each way, both probably uphill. That's what she'll tell the grandkids to get her vaccination. My first reaction is, why did nobody in her family help her out? I don't know. My second reaction is, how in God's name did anybody at the vaccine place who was administering these not say, you know what, guys, I'm going to run her home? Like nobody did? Like nobody thought of that? None?
I thought maybe you could take like an Uber or a Lyft.
Or maybe you could get off your ass and take her home.
And just walk down the hill. And she was very determined that she was going to walk there.
Yeah. Of course. Because first of all, she came from that generation where, she don't care. Like, she came from that generation there was no TVs. She came from that generation of, hey, there's still people in this country, and a lot of them who don't have the bare necessities. But Fran, can I give you a lift, Franny? We'll go get tattoos. How about that? You get a shot. We'll wait a little while. You and I will go get some tattoos. I'll get you home just in time for dinner. Nobody thought of taking her home? A little sad about that. Got to be honest. I expect better. And I know she may be determined, but come on, Fran. Don't, for the love of God, make that long walk. Only to put yourself in a situation where you get sick. All right? Let's not do that. Okay? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter and your Instagram. So I posted something today that is quite spectacular. It's at a school in New York that they've sent out. It's basically want to see how white you are. You know, what are your white identities? How white are you? So this principal sends a pamphlet out, because it is Woke Wednesday. We want to be woke. Asking them to essentially rate the whiteness. Are you a white traitor who dismantles institution? Or are you white supremacist? Or are you somewhere in between? And I'm like, man, there's 8 levels? Do we get, like, is it like karate? Do I get a belt every time I go up a level? Is that how that works? I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting. So it is very interesting. So let's start with the 8 white identities. Okay? I want you guys to be woke on this. For me, the way I look at life is, have white people had it lucky? Absolutely. 100%. Have Americans had it lucky? Absolutely. Regardless of your color. 100%. So, I mean, everybody has something that they complain about in life. Some people have a real reason to complain. Some people complain about everything. Doesn't matter. Their life could be perfect, and they'll find something to bitch about. And I'm fine talking about race in this country. I think we need to have more conversations. We need to be more open and honest. But I also think looking at people nowadays and saying, okay, the only reason you are who you are is because you're white is ridiculous. You know, Justin Timberlake apologized last week. At one time, he apologized for being white. Like, why are you apologizing? I would never do that. You are who you are. It is what it is. But the judging of the color of the skin in today's woke world is ridiculous. It's not what we want. Right? We don't want that. We'll be able to look at somebody and go, you know, hey, this guy's my friend. This gal's my friend. This non-binary person is my friend and such, and we move on. I know some people can't do that. And I know some people out there who make a living off stuff like this don't want people to be like that. They always say, oh, yeah, I totally do. But they like the identities because identities and division equals dollar bills. So how you graduate from this, and this was done by Barner Hess, given out. So how, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know if there's a graduation party, if you get a belt, like when you're in karate or aikido or something like that. I have no idea. So first, let's talk about it. There's a regime of whiteness, and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with the whiteness are one of these. So these are one of the 8 whitenesses. I'm more beige with freckles. But some people I know are opaque. But you decide which one you are. First of all, let's start with one. Bad. White supremacist. Clearly marked white society that preserves, names, and values white superiority. Bad. I think we all agree with bad. Are you this, though? Are you a white voyeur? Ooh, yeah, white voyeurism. So let's talk about that. White voyeurism, what is it? Wouldn't challenge a white supremacist. Desires non-whiteness because it's interesting, pleasurable, seeks to control the consumption and appropriation of non-whiteness, fascination with culture, consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. What does that mean? You like hip-hop. You like rap. You like whatever. You get all of the benefits, but none of the burden. And I think it's a little ridiculous. Again, this is not me. This is something they sent out. I don't do this. But white privilege. Now, this is the one that's thrown about everywhere. This is number 3. So if we're working on the scale here, kids, this is number 3. White privilege. You may critique supremacy, but a deep investment in questions of fairness and equality under the normalization of whiteness and the white rule's sworn goal of diversity. Translation, you go out there and say, I suffer with all this white privilege. Oh, everybody don't get mad at me because, because of the white privilege. But let's all be diverse. But I'm only here because of white privilege. It's essentially saying, look at me, but don't look at me, and don't blame me. All right. Now, this is what I've always said. White benefits. Let's not deny it. Driving while white, shopping while white, it's a very real thing. Right? Sympathetic to the set of issues, but only privately. Won't speak or act in solidarity publicly because the benefiting throughout whiteness in public, some people of color are also in this. So some people out there who are people of color, you benefit. You understand. You're a sympathizer to the white folk. White Confessional, which sounds like a great name for an album. Some exposure of whiteness takes place, but as a way of being accountable to the people of color, seeking validation from people of color. Ooh. Translation, I understand I have privilege. I understand I have benefits. I understand I'm a horrible person based on whatever. Will you be my friend? And all the while, you keep going from white belt to like a beige belt to maybe an orange belt. See how we're moving up in colors here, guys? See the way? Because obviously the goal is to get to what? A black belt. Hope you're laughing at that one, Phil. Makes me smile. So, white's critical. What is that, Chad? Explain to us on this Woke Wednesday what these 8 white identities are that kids are studying. White critical. Take on broad critiques of whiteness. So you're taking on the broadness of whiteness, and you invest in exposing, marketing the white regime, refusing to be complicit with the regime. Whiteness speaks back to whiteness. Translation, you see somebody being a Richard, and you think they're doing it because they're white and that person's black. You speak out about it. And you're a voice. White traitor. So this is kind of like now you're at a brown belt. White traitor. Actively refusing complicity. Names what's going on. Intention to subvert white authority and tells the truth at whatever cost to make sure that they dismantle the institution. And then eventually you graduate to black belt. White abolitionist of the 8 white identities. Changing institutions, dismantling whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. Kill Whitey. Chad, you're not being serious. No, I'm being serious. Here's the reality of it. We'd love to all live in a world where there's no biases and people don't see, people say, I don't want to see color. Why? Diversity's cool. It's just a suit. It's a suit we all wear. It's a skin suit. It's an Edgar suit. Remember that movie, Men in Black? It was like an Edgar suit. It's kind of like that. And yeah, there have been people in the past, and there are still people who are idiots and judge people based on religion and color. It's a bunch of crap. You know that, and I know that. Diversity's great. So many people out there seek to use opportunities to separate us for themselves. To do what? To make dollar bills. That's what they are about. It makes them money. It does. It makes them money. Let's talk about stuff. I think we should. I think we should have honest conversations. 100%. But we can't anymore. And the fear factor is we have a situation now where we can't. Because if you dare slip up, you're in trouble. If you dare slip up, your life can be destroyed. If you dare slip up, and by the way, slipping up we could just be having a conversation and somebody could deem that to be a bad thing, even though in theory it wasn't, but it doesn't matter. Because in practice in the woke world, you can still be in trouble for that. Somebody asked me, what would you do if Jack got sent home with this? I said, well, you're not going to that school. Jack, treat everybody equal. Don't be ashamed of who you are. You're going to find out that there are people in every walks of life, every color of skin, every ethnicity, every religion who are good people and bad people. And you deal with them on an individual basis. And you don't make broad brushstrokes thoughts and demonize groups. Outside of that, let's go play some Fortnite. This is ridiculous. But these are the things that end up nowadays in the woke world. And it frustrates a lot of people. But when we can't have real conversations, we get stuff like this. Real conversations are great. People don't want to have those unless they're getting paid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Oh, we got a great guys. You guys are going to enjoy what's coming. So to let you guys know, we have a absolute exciting Nature Will Mess You Up. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Raycons, best earbuds around. Love my Raycons. Wear them all the time. Whether I'm working out, whether I am going for a long walk, whether I'm just, in the middle of a conference call and I'm working and doing stuff, I got my Raycons on. The noise isolating fit separates it in ways that you cannot believe. And I tell her, let's say all things were equal, right? So the ones who got the stems, those earbuds, which are annoying, the ones with the go around the back with the little wires and stuff, annoying. Let's say everything was equal. You know what separates them? The fit. Nobody wants to continue to push in your earbuds. Have something dangling, the wire. No. But all things aren't equal. Better sound quality, better design, and a price that is amazing. Raycons knocked it out of the park. Their E25 started at under $100, and I'm going to save you extra right now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Find out for yourself. 45-day money-back guarantee. How amazing these are. Save an extra 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
A series of explosions collapsed the former Trump Plaza casino, which crumbled into a gray cloud, an instantaneous vacancy on the Atlantic City boardwalk, where the man who would be president hosted boxers, rock stars, and Hollywood celebrities. Trump Plaza opened in 1984, closed in 2014, but had fallen into disrepair long before. Steeped in debt, Donald Trump diverted resources into a new project, and Trump Plaza declined, becoming the worst-performing casino in Atlantic City. The mayor called it an eyesore.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Atlantic City fell apart, so let's not say it was just Trump's place, but it was a dump. How'd a trailer park get here? I don't know. But much like his presidency, it collapsed. Oh, get over yourself. But it was pretty neat, though, to watch it just, woo. That's a cool gig, right? Blowing stuff up. You get to play with stuff like that. You go and you drill holes, and it's all the engineers get together. You do this here, you do that, and then you do that, and we put stuff here, and boom, 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 everything, woo, and then it collapses on itself. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Probably get paid pretty well as well. Producer Phil, I would like you to tell the world about nature and what it'll do to you.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Got two nature stories. Let's first and foremost talk about the tiger attack.
She says she tripped over debris and fell toward the animal's cage.
What's going on? Somebody got grabbed by one of the tigers.
In an instant, the tiger latched onto her arm.
Grabbing my hands, he had pulled my arm in to his mouth and went up to my elbow, I suppose, and just worked his way up until he got all the way to my shoulder. Steven's fiance, who also works at the sanctuary, heard her screams and jumped into action.
Yep. She was degloved. For those of you guys don't know, the tiger by the name Eeyore was, by all accounts, a pretty good cat. Been hand-fed, hand-raised, seemed to be an okay cat, and thought it was feeding time. Something happened. Boom. Next thing you know, rips her arm off, degloves her, takes off all of her skin and muscles and everything, just leaves kind of the bone. They've had this place. They've never, ever, ever had any issues here. It is a sanctuary. It's been around. It's got 300 big cats. But at the end of the day, they're still giant cats. And, you know, as some people say, these people that all live, there's like 9 of them that live on this property. It's not open to the public. They probably get away with stuff that you shouldn't really do. Going into cages by yourself, having your back turned on giant animals like this, you just don't do things like that. That's why nature will mess you up. And it will mess you up. Here's something else about the sanctuary. 40,000 pounds of meat every 3 weeks is what they go through. 40,000 pounds of meat. So be prepared for all of you. So I'd like to have a tiger. I've always said this. Getting some of these animals ain't hard. Feeding them is. Feeding them then is. But also remember, it's a damn wild animal. I have animals that have been captive bred for several generations, and there's some of them I refuse to go in a cage and turn my back on, even though I trust them. Still, they're wild. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your show. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Why is it okay to put students and teachers in close proximity to each other for an entire day, day after day? With large class sizes and outdated ventilation systems, how and when do you propose this to occur? And do you believe all staff should be vaccinated before doing so?
Nobody is suggesting, including the CDC, that you have large classes, congested classes. It's smaller classes, more ventilation, fewer students in one room. Everyone from the sanitation workers who work in the laboratories, in the bathrooms, that they are, in fact, able to be protected as well.
That right there is Joe Biden. Was in Milwaukee last night. Did a little town hall. Getting questions about things like, hey, what's up with schools? By the way, 1 day a week is not returning to the classroom. It's not. It's just throwing it out there. He got a lot of pushback. They're like, well, Jen Psaki kind of spoke, didn't really understand. Yeah, okay, settle down. I think she understood. You guys are trying to, you threw something out there. You kind of threw her to the wolves. You tested. Like, look, people have been mad at Jen. And then we can come back and go, no. She didn't really understand this. People want to get their kids back in school for a lot of reasons. I'm a parent. I got a 10-year-old. He needs to be in school. Not just for the education side of it. When we think of you go to school for that, the thing that has been underplayed for the last God knows how long is the importance of being around others, the importance of problem solving, coming up to solutions with friends, even if it's on the playground over who gets to go next. Those things are life skills that will carry you a very long way. And we've taken that out of the hands of children because we want everybody to have the same. There's only one football. I want to go next. Sorry, everybody gets to go. So we're all going to touch it and throw it? That's the dumbest thing ever. But those things are important. Teachers. I've said teachers, as long as you're going to go back to school and get into the classroom, you should be on the top of the list. And I've said, and I've been very vocal about the people who drive the economy, the people who keep us going every single day, the people who put themselves out there on a daily basis should be top of the list. What about the elderly? I get it. I understand what people are saying. But the reality is at this moment in time, this thing's gotten to a point where we need to get ourselves back. Piecemealing it and not knowing what's going to look like in 6, 8, 9 months, whether or not this thing lasts 6, 8, 9 months as far as the vaccine. Do we have to go back every 3 months? If you had it, are you immune to it for a year, 2 years, or just a couple months? Nobody knows. But the piecemealing it side of things doesn't seem to be working the way that a lot of people want, and in particular with schools, and we need to get kids back in there. So if you're going to teach and you're like, you give me the shot today, I'll get in the classroom tomorrow, even if I'm only 50 or 60% protected, I'll wear a mask, I'm ready to go, then by all means, go to the front of the line.
Making sure you're in a situation where you don't have the congregation of a lot of people, as I said, including the school bus, including getting on a school bus. So it's about needing to be able to socially distance, smaller classes, more protection, and I think that teachers and the folks who work in the school, the cafeteria workers and others, should be on the list of preferred to get a vaccination.
Absolutely. 100%. As long as you're going to. Some of these places across the country, the unions have come up and essentially said, well, hold on a second. I know we're going to be in the front, but we're not going back to the classroom until every kid has been vaccinated. And we're not going back into the classroom until, and then they've got a list of demands because they've used the opportunity to go out and throw a list of demands out there that have nothing to do with this. A lot of questions about, of course, when? Anderson Cooper asks.
When do you think this pandemic is, when is it going to be done? When are we going to get back to normal?
All the experts, they tell me be careful not to predict things that you don't know for certain what's going to happen, because then you'll be held accountable. I get that. But let me tell you what I think. It's a high probability that the vaccinations that are available, those vaccinations, the ability to continue to spread the disease is going to diminish considerably because of what they call herd immunity.
Yeah, we know what that is. Appreciate you coming up. We get what herd immunity is. Go look at the data, statistics. We're not going to get there on vaccinations alone. Question that was not asked, that needs to be asked more and more and more and more and pushed is, what if not everybody takes the opportunity to get a vaccination? For whatever reason, religious, allergies, you think it's going to make you grow a tail and forget about God, whatever. You know, there's a chip in it, and because of this, that somehow you're going to be the Manchurian candidate, but instead of that, it's just Bill Gates who's going to flip a switch and make you come over and garden. Whatever you think is going to happen. At what point do we say, well, you've made your decision, and I'm okay with decisions, but we're not going to live our lives based on your decision. We're not going to do that. And I think for the people who think that it's fake and stuff, they'll be fine with that. Some other people, you've got to be careful. There are kids out there. There are people out there who have compromised immune systems, who can't take this. Some people, it's a religious thing. It's just about being responsible and respectful, which I know is amazingly tough for us in this day and age. For both of those, by the way. But we need to get back. So what happens if, say, instead of getting to that 80, 85%, we get to 65%? Maybe 70%. You got 30, 40, 50 million people that have had it. Some of them, a good majority of them, asymptomatic, so they've got the antibodies. And then you've got a bunch of other people who've willing to get the shot and have gotten the one shot, or with Johnson & Johnson when that comes up, or the two shots. Then what? And those are questions that I don't hear being asked, and I sure in the hell don't hear them being answered. Because I don't know if they would have a question for that. Because when you live in a world where it's all about feelings and empathy, to say that, well, we're going to get on with our lives, and I think Biden would. I think there'd be others who would push back on him, but I think Biden would be like, well, you've had the chance. It's time for us to move on. I'd like to think that, but you don't know. And in some states, that might be it, you know. DeSantis, Abbott, Ducey, mostly red states, would probably say, you had the chance. It was out there. You didn't get it. We're not going to live our lives based on your choices. So live your life at your own risk, which is what we should be doing. Other states, Cuomo, he's too busy killing the old people. But when he's not doing that, and he's writing a book about how his leadership is amazing, and when he's not doing that, he's winning Emmys. Oh, my gosh, when I get ready for my Emmy, I couldn't have killed all these old people without your help. Or Newsom, when he's not eating out at fancy restaurants and telling everybody else to stay in your house, hide underneath your bed and wait till they call you. They may say, well, you know what? These X amount of people, they didn't get this, or a certain group didn't get that, so we're still going to have to live our lives this way. So I think states will roll that way. But as far as Biden, the president, saying, yeah, we're done, we've given you the opportunities, I don't know if he will. We shall see. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love being here. It is a woke Wednesday. We're doing woke stuff today. We love talking about woke things because it makes us laugh. It's not very nice, Chad. It's just, we're just being honest here, people. We're being honest about wokeness. Okay? Because some of it is ridiculous, and you know it. And I know it. You can't say anything anymore, even though everybody thinks it. Off the record, let me tell you what I really think, but in front of the cameras, I'm going to lie through my teeth because then everybody will think I'm a good person. That's kind of where the world of wokeness has led us. Kind of. More money, more problems. We got a funny story, but think about it. I want you guys to soak this up. Many of you have had bad days at work. I've had a bad day at work. You've had a bad day at work. Producer Phil, producer Anthony, they've had bad days at work. Every human, we've all made mistakes too. Every one of us. And I always joke about it. Like if something goes wrong, I'm like, man, nobody died. We're doing radio, right? We didn't know, nothing happened. We're fine. Pilots sometimes have some issues, but by and large, we've all had a day here or there that's been a bad day. What this guy did at Citibank, or gal, don't know, is beyond amazing. And we're going to talk about it. And it wasn't just a mistake. It was a key punch transfer of money that went somewhere. And now, after going to court, the judge says, yeah, they get to keep the money. It is amazing. It is just wow. And the text messages that flew back and forth and the conversations that people had are awesome as well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, we've got a post up there. It's about your whiteness. Want to know how white you are? Yes, there was something sent home from a school in New York to identify 8 white identities. Starting with white supremacists and working your way up to white abolitionists. Find out which white identity you are. Check it out on Twitter. Tweet at me. Let me know. Wounded Paw, amazing organization. Been working with them for a long time. I love them. They are unlike any other organization or group that I work with. Their goal is to protect, advocate, and train and transform shelter dogs into service dogs for our veterans, first responders, and their families. And they do an amazing job. On average, 20 veterans a day commit suicide. They come home from war. In some cases, it's PTSD. In some other cases, it's PTSD and injuries, and trying to get themselves back into a normal way of life and transition is tough. That's where Wounded Paw comes in. They rescue animals, these dogs, and they train them, and they get them to our veterans, first responders, and their family, and it is amazing. Not only is it saving a dog's life, it is also giving new life to so many of our heroes who struggle. Now, you can give. They love it. You can give cash. You can go to smile.amazon.com and set your supporting group up for Wounded Paw. But a gift of a vehicle would be incredible. It's simple and easy. You go on their website or call them up. They'll come pick it up. If it flies, it floats. They'll take it. You'll get a great tax-deductible gift. Find out how you can be a part of this amazing organization. Go to woundedpawproject.org. Woundedpawproject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. 844-678-4729. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition,
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? So many things trending. Don't worry, kids. I'm going to get to your story and how Citibank made a mistake. Great story. Story of the day. One of the stories of the day. When you think you're having a bad day at work, wait till you hear the story. It's going to be awesome. Check out Google. Trending. Ash Wednesday, 2021. Different time. Coronavirus. It's kind of when everything really started to explode last year, and the last vestiges of normality faded away in March. Trending big time. Travis Barker confirmed yesterday that he's dating Khloe Kardashian because rock stars get all the chicks. They do. Let's not pretend. Okay, for a second, let's not. Adam Sandler, if you guys want to feel old, I'm going to help you do it today. 25 years ago, Happy Gilmore debuted. And Adam Sandler took it upon himself yesterday to have a little fun with the swing. Out, getting ready to enjoy himself, play a little bit of golf, take a shot at Shooter McGavin.
Okay, it's been 25 years since I've done this. Let's see what happens.
Kids out there. And by the way, golfing in denim shorts, phenomenal.
Shooter McGavin, this is for you.
Here he goes.
And I'm not lying to you, that is smash.
Yeah, he smashed that ball, had a good time doing it. And it just makes you feel old that it's 25 years since that debuted. But I want everybody to feel old because I love it. Head on over to Twitter. Enjoying it. Duke of Edinburgh is in the hospital. The Queen's husband. The Duke of Edinburgh is 99, admitted to the hospital. Precautionary measures, they say. He's at the King Edward VII Hospital in London. He's just going to be there for a few days. 99 years young. Ah. Chad, that's not very nice. Dominion says it's going to sue Mike Lindell over fraud claims. Over the, I don't even know what it was. It was a documentary put together in like 3 days. And I know people saying, well, Chad, you know what? The product, I've never had a problem with the product. Over the last couple months, Mike Lindell's gone off the reservation. I'm not going to lie to you guys there. I don't do that. I'm a straight shooter. You think Dominion will keep me when they're selling pellets? Chad, you're a jerk. Oh, a little bit. And, yes, kid, Disney's Joker is trending. So, because there's a new really cool trailer out, not for the Joker, but for Cruella de Vil. It's a pre-Cruella, because everything's a prequel now. It's a pre-Cruella de Vil Dalmatian movie. Check it out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Everybody who's ever golfed has tried it at least once. So let's not pretend that you've not tried the Happy Gilmore. We all have. When done correctly, you can get some oomph. Most people can't hit the ball standing there, so running doesn't help. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm on the golf course every day. I see it with my own eyes. It was an oops of epic proportion. Talk about it straight ahead. Plus, it's Woke Wednesday. More woke stuff. Woo! Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
that a pathway for the roughly 11 million undocumented?
Yeah, what confuses people is you talk about refugees, you talk about undocumented, you talk about people who are seeking asylum, and you talk about people who are coming from camps being held around the world. And there are 4 different criteria for being able to come to the United States. The vast majority of the people, those 11 million undocumented, they're not Hispanic. They're people who came on a visa, was able to buy a ticket to get in the plane and didn't go home. They didn't come across the Rio Grande and swim across. Excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry about that. It's been a little bit. Okay, let's unpack this a little bit. Okay, Biden last night town hall in Milwaukee. That's a lie. Now, according to the latest data from the NPI, Migration Policy Institute, they lean a little left. I'm going to throw it out there, guys. I'm going to throw it out there. This is the data they have, and this is where they get the 11 million people. 10,977,000 all the dose. Unauthorized population. So he said mostly non-Hispanic. Okay, let's break it down. So Africa, 230,000 people, 2%. Asia, the second largest group. And this is where he gets the people who overstay their visas in some ways. People who come from Pakistan, people come from India, Southeast Asia, potentially China, overstay. Okay. 1.485 million. That breaks down to roughly 14%. European, Canada, Oceania. If you know what Oceania is, think of the New Zealand, Australia, but some of those other smaller islands. They're 648,000, roughly 6%. South America. I don't know if do we classify them as Latin? I would assume so, but 783,000, 7%. Caribbean, Yaman, 406,000, 4%. So I look at that, that's 32%. Mexico and Central America, 68%, 7.425 million people. So you're wrong, sir, in that. I'm going to call on that one. Not even close. It's not. Over the last few years, especially with the crackdown at the border that Trump was going for, that was very real. People would come here, and it had been happening more and more. From certain parts of Asia were coming here on visas, and certain parts of Eastern Europe, and they just weren't going home. They were coming here maybe to study. They were going to come visit some friends, whatever. I knew buddies who were from Europe, and they just came and they stayed. And I was always like, that's not what you're supposed to do. And it's, well, okay, that's weird. And I would say, you can't do that. Nobody cares. No, we do care. But 7.425 million, or 68%, and that's 11 million. We all know it's not 11 million. We all know it is not 11 million. Probably closer to 20, not 11. Of all the things, look, he has pushed back in a lot of things where I think a lot of people thought, well, the left, they're going to get everything. He's going to be the most woke. He allows them to run around and be woke. The reality is he's not going to be very woke. He's just not. They're going to take advantage. They're not going to take advantage. I think a lot of people think he's crazy. He's got dementia. He shouldn't be up there, so they're going to take advantage of him. That'll never happen because his wife would never let that happen. His wife would never let them embarrass him and do things like that. There are people within inside the party who support him would never allow that to happen. Is he slower? A little bit. But is he as woke as they think? No, he's not. But one thing, as Anthony and I were talking about, producer Anthony in the break, and he was very right about this. And I screamed at the night he had the second debate, and Trump and him and he's like, I'm going to give everybody a pathway to citizenship. I'm sorry. No, there's a way of going about doing it. Now, we could change those laws to make it easier to come here. Those things could be worked out. I got no problems with that. Let's talk about that. We're going to need people for a lot of different reasons in the future. One of them is we're not producing children like we used to. That's a big thing. In some places, in some areas, we need skilled workers we don't have enough of. That's also a very big thing. So I'm open to that, making it easier to come here, work on a temporary visa, 30, 60, 90 days, maybe a year, renew it, go home, come back. But he's just kind of like, yeah, you know what? Everybody gets to come here and apply for asylum. And it's not open borders, but it's not a closed border, but it's not open.
We can no longer, look, even if you're not involved in politics at all, you've probably heard me say this 1,000 times. Everyone is entitled to be treated with decency, with dignity. Everyone is totally entitled for that. And we don't do that now for the first time in American history. If you're seeking asylum, meaning you're being persecuted, you can't do it from the United States. You used to come, have an asylum officer determine whether or not you met the criteria and send you back. You can't even do that. You got to seek asylum from abroad.
Which is the way you have to do it in any other country. And by that, I mean, if you're escaping, we were joking earlier, like to Uzbekistan, there's one of the stands that, like, the guy that rules it is a dictator of, like, it's one of those stuck between, like, Afghanistan and nobody cares to stand. And there's this one, and his, like, the national anthem is like an ode to his mom, and he's changed the words. And he is, if you were to do central casting for a parody dictator, it's this guy. You escape a place like that, and you land in Toronto, the first place you came where you have essentially a safe harbor, that's where you apply for it. In many cases, you have to apply to stay there. We don't do that with people from south of the border. It just doesn't happen. You want to come here, that's fine. And Mexico, okay, you could see it. People crossing the border in Mexico, well, okay, they're there. What about the people who are coming from Central America and up through Central America from South America? Those are all very fair questions. We can have empathy and understanding and treat people with dignity and respect and give people opportunities to come here in the right way without being idiotic and taken advantage of. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to allow things to be as they are. He'll say some nifty things, turn a blind eye to it, and away it'll go. And the only people who will bring it up are people on the right. And the minute you do it, they're like, you're a racist, you're a xenophobe. No. Why have the laws? Why have a sovereign country if we're not going to follow those things? It's a fair thing. It's all we're asking. I think anybody should. But we've allowed both sides of the political aisle to use people coming here illegally for cheap labor and for now the wokeness and the we'll save you and look how great we are from the left with the potential to have them voting one day. And they've been nothing but a political football. They've raised money and they argue with one another and then they send out letters and, hey, we're going to need an extra $25 a month for you so I can go fight for you. To their donors and to their voters. We need comprehensive reform that's real, that can have empathy, that can have understanding, that can have some meritocracy. We need some people here that are better than some other. We need some people, yes, that are going to have to come here and do the digging of ditches and the stuff that, oh my goodness. We're also going to need people who can program. We're also going to need doctors. So let's have it all. Understanding and empathy should not be confused with stupidity and being taken advantage of. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. All right. I teased it earlier. So imagine this, right? You've had a bad day at work. Everybody's had a bad day at work. Go to work, had a bad day, made some mistakes, blah, 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 blah. You know, it happens. It happens. I mean, we're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. You know that. I know that. We all know that. So you go to work. You're working for one of the biggest financial institutions on the planet of Earth and beyond. You're controlling tons of money. It's literally at your fingertips. And you make a mistake. You see, you work part of Citibank as well as several other funds inside of JP Morgan and several other funds, and you are acting on behalf of Revlon, the people who make makeup, as a loan agent. And you're supposed to wire some interest payments to the cosmetic company's lenders. They've had some issues. They've fallen on hard times. A lot of people have. They're restructuring. That's the way they do it. Citibank, the employee, wired 100 times the amount that they were supposed to, including $175 million to a hedge fund and another $900 million to their lenders. So you are an employee, right? And this is not somebody, when you think of Wall Street, somebody is making $500,000 a year. This is probably somebody, it's their first gig, right? So this is their first gig. They're making maybe $30,000 a year. They're hoping to move on up, and they wire this money. Well, it's an accident. It's totally an accident. It's no big deal. It's going to get it back. I'm going to get back. Give me back instantaneously. Totally accident. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nah, it's an accident. It's not so fast. Some of the lenders said, "Oh yeah, okay, no worries. Sorry, we'll get it and send the money back." $500 million is still out there, and the judge says, we have a law here called discharge for values defense. Now, if you get money in your bank account and you look and you're like, oh, I got an extra $5,000 or something. If it's owed to you, but you're not expecting it, but it is owed to you, you might be able to keep it. If it's not owed to you and to spend it, it's a felony. You can go to jail. Well, this money was owed to people, so Citibank just paid a ton of creditors on an oops. Yeah. Right now, the judge has said, they can keep the money. They're going to appeal it. People were like, are you kidding me? And some people are like, Judge, how can this be? Well, because there's a law and because these people were owed them. It's not like this money isn't theirs. It is their money. And they could say, honestly, well, we expect to get our money. The fact that we got it now. This is what some of the stuff that was going around, though, with this. These are two employees talking. I feel really bad for the person that fat-fingered $900 million in erroneous payments. Not a great career move. Certainly looks like they'll be looking for new people in the ops group. How was your day to work, honey? I was okay, except I accidentally sent $900 million out to people who weren't supposed to have it. Downside of working from home, maybe the dog hit the keyboard. Yeah. So when you think, I've had a bad day at work, I've had some struggles, I've made some mistakes, I've pushed the wrong button, not to $1 billion. How that happened, because it wasn't just one. That's the thing. It wasn't just one. There were several wires sent out. The person probably get a job in government now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Don't let this be you. Couple. East Coast. Out there in beautiful Virginia. Starts to get weird mail. Weird mail, you say? Yes, weird mail. About congratulations on selling your home. Congratulations on, we haven't sold our home. We still live here. What were they talking? We just bought it. No. Somebody stole their home out from under them. And it was as simple as going online, finding out all the public information that they have out there on your home, which is not hard because it's all public records, spending a few bucks to get your address, your name, forged signature, fake notary, take control of your home. Not a lot you can do about it. They're still fighting at court to this day. Happens far more than you think because cyber criminals are resourceful. It's easier than stealing a car and nets you more money. It's happening a lot to people who have second homes and they don't stay there very much, or cabins or places like that where you would never even think about it. People are even moving into some of these things saying, we have the title, you can't kick us out, and they're losing their homes. Don't let it happen to you. Get Home Title Lock. They're there to protect you, alert you when anything happens to your title. Even if there's just a little change, maybe they capitalize something that wasn't capitalized before, you'll be notified. Should somebody get by, let me tell you something, they're going to give you $250,000 to help fight it in court. Don't let it happen to you before it's too late. Protect your home now with Home Title Lock. Go to HometitleLock.com. Register your address. See if you've already been a victim. Use code radio. 30 days free protection. Check it out for yourself. HometitleLock.com. Code radio. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
It's Woke Wednesday. We love to be woke. We're woke on all kinds of wokiness. Biden last night doing his stuff at his town hall. I thought he acquitted himself pretty well.
I do support a $15 minimum wage. I think there is equally as much, if not more, evidence to dictate that it would grow the economy and long run and medium run benefit small businesses as well as large businesses.
Actually, CBO has a different story. So even some liberal think tanks are like, look, it's going to hurt the people that can afford to be hurt the most. It is. And this is even a non-starter. The $15 minimum wage, because Manchin, West Virginia, and Kyrsten Sinema, Arizona, those two senators aren't going to support it. You're not going to have what you need to get that in there. He readily admits that. While he may support it, the reality is not this time. Not this time. And we have to address a lot of these things when it comes to minimum wage, because it was never meant to raise a family of four. It was meant to be a starting level, usually for people who are younger, inexperienced, and is going to cost the business owner money to employ, with the hopes that they'll learn and at some point in time bring value. It's the hopes. Just letting you know. Producer Phil, remind everybody what nature will do to you.
Chad, nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Case in point, one of the only animals on Earth that actively will hunt and eat humans.
It's hoped in the next 48 hours, police will be able to confirm whether those remains found inside the crocodile are those of the 69-year-old. Yesterday afternoon, wildlife officers caught and killed that 4-metre crocodile after spotting it near the dinghy where Andrew Heard was last seen. Now, we understand that wildlife officers say that dinghy had marks on it consistent with a crocodile attack. He was last seen on Thursday afternoon in waters off Hinchinbrook Island and never made it back onto dry land.
Nope. About 14 feet, crocs will hunt humans. There are a few animals. Polar bears will. Komodo dragons have been known to attack and consume humans. Very few will eat human beings. Tigers and lions, if they're injured. Hyenas, potentially. But crocodiles and polar bears will consume. And when you go into nature, especially in a place like Australia, guess what? Every pond, puddle, tributary, and billabong has potentially your end fate. So remember, we warn you all the time, nature will mess you up. We don't say that because we're being mean. We're just being honest. Because that's what we do here. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When do you think this pandemic is, when's it going to be done? When are we going to get back to normal?
All the experts, they tell me be careful not to predict things that you don't know for certain what's going to happen. Because,
by the way, Nostradamus did that all the time. He's like, I'm going to predict something today. And you know what he thought? It's going to be so far away, even if it doesn't come true, nobody will know because I'll be dead. Just point that out. People are looking to you, Mr. President, asking you. I don't need a prediction. When do you think, if all things aligned and we do even just a half-ass kind of C+, B-, when do you think we're going to get out of this mess?
Then you'll be held accountable. I get that. But let me tell you what I think. It's a high probability that the vaccinations that are available, those vaccinations, the ability to continue to spread the disease is going to diminish considerably because of what they call herd immunity.
Herd immunity. Hello, everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you about herd immunity. It's when all of us are herding together, kind of like cattle, and we're immune to stuff. That means If you don't know what that is, where have you been? That there is enough people out there who've built either a resistance or have a vaccine to something that the spread is negligible. It has nowhere to go. And kind of like a pinball that's going really fast, banging off the stuff, it then misses one, and all of a sudden it slows down, and it doesn't have anywhere to go, and it's not banging out, and then it goes down the side, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's kind of what it's like. How close are we? Don't know. I will say, I still think summer, we're going to have majority of states back to 85, 90% of normal way of life. I think next year, most schools will start that way. I still think there'll be some states who will be flubbing their lines and not doing well. But a lot of that also has to do with what? People getting the vaccine to a certain level. People also, because we're not going to get their vaccine alone, who have been exposed to it, and either they've known they've been exposed to it, they've been asymptomatic, never knew they had it, but they have the antibodies for it. So that will also help. But it's also going to be on the shoulders as far as the decision making when it comes to what your state's going to do. What do you think your governor will do? Wherever you are in the country. Florida, we know. Like Ron DeSantis is like, yeah, you can wear a mask. But yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you can go, hey, it's going to be 50% dining or 100%. I don't know. I'm not paying attention. How good's your restaurant? Abbott, Texas, doing things a little different. Ducey has been very hands-off. And at times, that's been very good. But he's also been very not paying attention at all. Here in Arizona, Newsom, Cuomo, Whitmer, very hands-on. Very, you do this, you do that. So, New York may be slow. California there's a chance they're going to have a runoff, a special election runoff, because Newsom may get recalled because he's been so bad at this. So they may be further behind. But so much of it is predicated, us getting normal is predicated on what your governor is going to do. If your governor says, hey, guys, we're going to offer the vaccines to everybody. We have enough. And let's say it's May. And you have 60 days from now to get the vaccine, or accept the responsibility that if you not getting the vaccine does not mean that we're going to continue to live with masks on our face 24/7, not go anywhere, social distance, have half of our restaurants occupancy available. Nope, not going to be that way. We're going to get back to normal. Other states maybe go, no, we're still going to do this. It's all about, whatever, equity, blah, whatever. Chad, isn't it about equity? We'll touch on that a little bit. So as far as normal, and I wish Biden would also stand up, and the reason I'd like him to do that, and first of all, somebody asked him the question, hey, what if 65% of people are either exposed to it or have gotten the vaccine, but that 70, 80, 90%, whatever, depends on who you're talking to, doesn't get the vaccine. So we don't get to that level for that herd immunity that you would like. You cannot keep people living in a state of flux of mask, no mask, this area is okay, don't do that, don't go see grandma. Kids can or maybe not go to school. You never really know. We can't. And I'd like to see him answer it. And I know you don't want to give a prediction. It's not a prediction. What you say is, we will have the vaccine readily available. You will have the opportunity to get it. My prediction is this will happen by May, June. At the latest. But by July, if you've chosen not to get it, if you said to self, if I get this vaccine, Bill Gates will control my life. It's the mark of the devil. It's going to change my DNA. Then you recognize that you don't want the vaccine. Fine. So the repercussions, and chances are even if you got sick, nothing's going to happen to you, but the repercussions are on you. These are things that need to be asked. Some people out there, you need to know, hey, you know what? Timmy over here, he's got really bad allergies. He can't get it. So we'll have to be cautious around him. That's fine. Personal responsibility for others within your little zone. just like somebody to ask the question. And really ask the question in a way where it's like, like ask it. Ask him, ask Psaki, get onto it. Because you know what I know? They're not going to give you a real answer. Because politicians don't want to give you a straight answer in something like this.
Next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing, than we are today. I think a year from now, I think that there'll be significantly fewer people having to be socially distanced, have to wear masks, etc. But we don't know. So I don't want to overpromise anything here.
Yeah. It's not about overpromising. It's just about giving everybody. It's the one thing where the former president failed. He gave up. There wasn't a path. Just look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to try it. We're going to do everything we can to get to this position and go from there. And you lay out a plan and then you let it work. That didn't happen with him. The path that he laid out was getting to a vaccine. Along the way, he ignored a lot of stuff. It's going to go away. Blah, 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 blah. People want to get back to their lives. From school to knowing the kids are going to go to school to this time next year, yeah, there may be a day where they're all called out because it's a snow day, not because it's a coronavirus day. To getting our kids back into the mental health side of interacting with one another, from playing to sports to arguing on the playground to seeing one another, which helps everybody else. We need that. But we need also, I believe, a drop dead date as far as when we're going to return, at least I think for Republican governors, I think they'll, as soon as it's available, they're going to allow people to get on with their own lives. But for a lot of other people in other states, I think unless Biden kind of throws it out there, that may not happen. And they'll be fiddling around, which will be funny until they come to your state and screw up your state. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We're identifying the 8 white identities. It's not a movie. It's Woke Wednesday. We're going to break it down for you because we like to do that on wokeness. So I want to make sure that you guys understand. We're going to break down everything from white supremacists to white abolitionists. Where are you on the spectrum of white identities? Do you have multiple white identities? I do not know. Can you do that? Can you have multiple white identities? Oh, my God. This is actually something that was given to kids to take home to their parents. This is what happens when you allow insanity to have a voice. But also, I want you guys to understand this, it's also about money. The thing that matters isn't the white identity. It's in the black identity. It's in Hispanic, Asian, trans, Muslim, Christian, whatever it is. It's about the green identity for a lot of people who push this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Your dog food. You might spend a ton of money on your dog food. You're like, oh, this dog food's really good. It's got all the stuff in it. And then you don't realize that thing was meant to sit on a shelf. So I use Rough Greens for my dogs. Doodle, Red, Bowie, love them all. Doodle's my older dog. We rescued him. He had bad hips. He had arthritis. He was much older than we thought when we rescued him. We didn't think he was going to make it. Last year we thought we might have to put him to sleep. About a year ago, I started getting him Rough Greens. Sprinkle it on his food. It's that simple. He loves the taste of it. He and the dogs eat it up. The other ones are puppies. He is happier and healthier than he's been in forever and a day. Because that food that we feed him, well, is decent food. It's got nothing living in it. With Rough Greens, the supplement, sprinkle it right on there. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes. Oh, digestive enzymes. Omega-3, 6, 9. It brings his food to life. Healthier, happier, shinier coat. Vibrant, for sure, to the point of almost annoying. Definitely better mobility and joint health, which to me is the thing that matters most. He is happier and healthier and bouncier than he's bouncing and jumping on things he never could a year ago. And it only took a little while to see a difference. Now, here's what Rough Greens is doing. They know I love animals. They want you to treat your animal and give them the opportunity to try it before you buy it. It's simple and easy. It's free. Cover the cost of shipping, $8.95. You're going to get a free bag of rough greens. How do you do it? Go to ruffgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77. That's 833-MY-DOG-77. Cover the cost of shipping. The bag is yours free. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens. They make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
At mass vaccination sites here in California, a new problem is popping up. Many people not arriving for their appointments. In Santa Clara County last week, 4,500 people were no-shows. A belief is they're booking multiple appointments in their rush to get a shot and then using only one. Dr. Jennifer Tong with Santa Clara County.
When they have an appointment they're not planning to keep, it feels like only one appointment and probably not that big a deal, but in reality, those individual appointments really add up.
The county is now overbooking appointments by about 10% every day, assuming that around 10% won't show up.
It's like flights. They overbook your flight. But the difference is not everybody shows up and say, okay, people, we have overbooked. Could you give up your shot? We guarantee you to get you on the next shot tomorrow, and we'll give you an overnight stay at the Marriott and 100 vaccine miles. It's not like that. It's not. Some people really want the shot. Case in point. This lady, Fran. Fran is 90 years old. Fran is from that generation. They don't take no crap. Fran hiked in a snowstorm to get a shot.
I was told I had to sit and wait 15 minutes to make sure there was no reaction. And I said, I'm delighted to sit.
Yeah, she was delighted to sit. She's like, don't worry about it. I'm going to sit. All good. Don't worry. Because I marched here in the snow. But you know what I got?
Walking in snow over snow. I got my vaccination.
That's right. The question is, why in God's name did nobody drive her home? Well, or there. She wanted the shot. She went and got the shot. 3-mile walk each way in the snow. She got the shot. Other people, they don't want the shot, or they're not willing to do something. I want to put in the effort. Franny put in the effort.
And just walked down the hill, and she was very determined that she was going to walk there.
She did. I would have said, Franny, let's go get a bite to eat. Let's go get tattooed. Think you could get a good neck tattoo? Like a tiger or a lion? Because you're kind of a badass, right? Maybe we'll go bowling. You got the shot now, Franny. The world is yours. 90 years old, and she's going to tell that story to everybody because everybody has that story. Every grandfather, grandmother, mother and father talk about their day and how they did things. I always talk about that with my kids. Everybody does. We always talk about that with the kids, right? Don't you? Like, let me tell you about what it was like in my day. Let me tell you what it was like. That's grandma and grandpa. But then another generation came and they changed it. They didn't want to hurt kids' feelings. Case in point, this lady.
What's the biggest lie that your parents ever told you?
When I was young, I lived at my grandpa's house with my mom, and I had a cat named Inky, and one day I had no idea where she went, so I asked my mom, and my mom told me that Inky got on an airplane with my godmother, Colleen, and all she ever wanted was to become an actress. So she went to LA and she went to go be a movie star. And I just was okay, yeah, sure. And then a year later, the movie Cats and Dogs came out, and there was a cat that looked just like Inky in it, and I was like, oh my gosh, my sis, she made it.
She's not the brightest, just to let you know. If my mother would have told me, I'm like, no, they didn't. I'm a straight shooter. And being around me with the kids, it's different. Kids understand. I have animals that eat other animals. They get that. They realize that Life is life, precious. Sometimes things happen. You can love the animals, but life sometimes happens. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Dead. Happens. It's life.
And I told everyone for like years and years and years, and it wasn't until 8th grade Thanksgiving. I was like, hey, Papa, remember when like Inky like moved to LA? And he was like, she died under the porch.
By the way, if you want to know what the biggest lie is your family told you, it was you're smart. Chad's not very nice. Even as a child, I'd be like, shut up. Cat didn't move to LA to be an actor. Not even close. Couldn't even do summer stock. Tell me he's going to go to L.A. She bought that. Jeez. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the pro. Woke Wednesday. We got some wokeness for you. Wokeness with your whiteness. Right here. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Mandalorian star Gina Carano was canned last week from the show over a string of social media posts described as abhorrent by Lucasfilm, the producer of the Disney Plus series. And Carano says she saw that statement for the first time when it was made public. In an exchange with former New York Times columnist Bari Weiss, Carano says she found out through social media, like everyone else, that she'd been fired. She also revealed that earlier last year, Lucasfilm pulled her from the press tour for season 2 of The Mandalorian after another post seen by many as offensive to the transgender community. A Change.org petition to rehire Carano has over 40,000 signatures.
Yeah, she signed a deal with Shapiro's company. Shapiro had a very interesting run, hide, fight. I think it was a movie came out, and he's making some movies, which is great. And by the way, so like some conservatives have tried to make movies, and the way that they're trying to make movies is they're not doing a good job. The whole thing with Ben Shapiro is like it's got to be interesting, and that's. I work with movie people all the time. We do a bunch of stuff in my other company, and it's about story. It's not about. It's about storyline. Are you? And is this interesting? Are people going to be entertained by this? Because if they're not, because they've tried the wokeness and it's failed. Go look at Doctor Who. People are like, this sucks. This is stupid. No, well, that's not very. No, it's just you're trying to be woke. Nobody, the ratings went, pfft. Is this interesting? So she's over there doing that. But she got fired for something that she reposted. She did not post it originally. She reposted something. And it's tough when you make any kind of comparison to, say, the Nazis in concentration camps. It's tough. Very, very tough. It was a reach, for sure. But she was talking about, if you guys don't know what I'll just surmise it for you. It wasn't the Nazis. It was the neighbors. Neighbors, because of the Nazis, got neighbors to hate other neighbors, particularly the Jews. Then they got them to beat their neighbors. And then, when their neighbors disappeared, they didn't ask a question. It's no big deal. But she was fired for that. And for making fun of the trans community because they keep telling her, what's your pronouns? And she's like, bebop boop. Which is, get over yourself. Okay? Can we just say, get over yourself? That's not very nice, Chad. People are going to be mad at you. No. I don't care what your pronouns. What's your name? I'm not calling you he, him. Unless your name is he, him, I'm not going to call you that. But in the woke world, this is what we have. We've got wokeness to the point of stupidity. It was ridiculous. And this wasn't the average person, by the way, who watches The Mandalorian who liked her or, what that didn't or didn't liked her and had no idea what her politics was. This was her look to Lucasfilms and to Disney, and also her co-stars. Her co-stars were also in on this. They didn't like her, some of them. So, but that's the wokeness. But when you live in a world where everything's identity, right? So everything is identity. And everything's about being woke, and it's about equity, and it's about all of these things, and you can't have conversations. The whole thing in life, especially when you try to drill down on something that's an issue, you have to be honest, right? So if you need to lose weight, you got to be honest with yourself. You do. Be honest with yourself. It's a tough conversation to have. But if you're serious about it, you'll get to the other side and you'll be better for it. We can't do that. Now, we're not about that. We're about, hey, you got a different opinion, and I don't like that opinion because morally I feel superior to you, so you're gone. And that drives a lot of people crazy, as it should. And the sad thing is, it's also, not only is it a power play, it's a money play. Case in point, the insanity of what is available for kids at school in New York, thanks to the principal that sent something home because he wants everybody to understand the 8 identities of whiteness. Oh, no. And just making fun of it automatically makes you, I'm sure, a racist. So there are 8 identities. 8, I would do 8 planes. See, this guy, he screwed up. Because if you're going to march, you've got to make it so there's a game. Like every time you graduate. Like for here, like I said, well, maybe you get a belt. You start out as a white belt, obviously, because it starts with white supremacy. But the whole thing is to become a white abolitionist, which means you get a black belt. Chad. So what are these 8 identities that parents were receiving in a school that is predominantly people of color? Like 18% of it is white. So for you 18% of you kids out there who've done nothing, let us tell you why you're bad. It starts. Sit back, kids. This will be fun. There is a regime of whiteness, and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. It's about time that we build an ethnography of whiteness. So are you guys with me on this? Since white people have been the ones writing about governing others. So here we go. So here's your identities. First, it starts with white supremacy. We all agree it's bad. Some of these things I've never even heard of before, but white supremacists, we know what that is. Clearly marked white society, preserves, names, values of white superiority. Nobody wants it. Now, are you a white voyeur? Right? So it's voyeurism. So white voyeurism. What's that, you ask? Well, let me tell you. It's essentially where you observe. You wouldn't challenge white supremacy or the desires of non-whiteness because it's interesting, pleasurable. Seek to control the consumption and appropriation of non-whiteness. Fascination with culture. Consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. You like black music. I used to think it was just music. But you like black music. But you don't have to worry about all the stuff that comes with being black. Okay. So that's voyeurism. Then you got white privilege. This is the one that's thrown around to everybody. So you got the white privilege. So you're successful. It's because you're white. I've always thought this one's crap. May critique supremacy, but a deep investment in questions of fairness, equity, blah, 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 blah. It's stupid. And people that scream white privilege are usually the ones who are the whitest of all and enjoy the most privilege. White benefits. I've always talked about this. I say, yeah, there's benefits to being white. It is. That's not BS. No, driving while white, shopping while white. There's benefits to that. Absolutely. I won't deny that. Never denied that. I've always talked about it. Privilege to me is I walk in a store, take whatever I want, I walk out, everybody bows down. That's a privilege I have. Benefit is I don't have to worry about walking in a store and walking around and having somebody look at me and go, oh, look at that kid over there. What's that guy doing? Well, I do because I'm bald. I got tattoos and people think I'm, part of the Klan or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But white confessional. Now, this one, some exposure of whiteness takes place, but as a way of being accountable to people of color after seeking validation from people of color. No. White critical. You take on more critiques of whiteness. You invest in exposing the white regime, refuse to be complicit with the regime, and whiteness speaking back to whiteness. So you take on, you see somebody, you're willing to yell at them. White traitor. These are the two you need to get to. So this is when you become a brown belt. You're a white traitor. Actively refusing complicity, names what's going on. Intention is to be subverted. White authority, it tells the truth, whatever the cost. And need to dismantle the institution. Then you get to white abolitionist. Changing institution, dismantling whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to, it's done. Which one of these are you? I'm me. I don't know about you, but I'm me. That's who I am. And when people say I don't see color, yeah, you do. Unless you're colorblind, you do. There's nothing wrong with that. So it makes us super unique and awesome that we're different in so many ways. And I think people hate that. It's the people that continually perpetuate things like this are people that are looking to earn a buck, are people that are profiting off real issues that need to be talked about and addressed. People who want to keep people in victim mentalities because to them, victim equals dollar bills. Not truth, not conversations. And that's sad. It's absolutely sad. If my son got this sent home or they sent this to me, I'd be like, dude, you're done. You're not going there. We're not going to deal with this. Well, what do you teach your kids about people of color? I said, there's people. That's what they are. You deal with them on an individual basis. Some people of color may be jerks. Some white people may be good people. Some Christians may be awful. Some Muslims may be great. Everybody's going to have their flawed individuals if we're looking for groups. Treat everybody the same. You're going to run into people who are jerks across the board. And you're going to run into people that are great. That's it. Shouldn't be this hard. But we won't have real conversations. And the thing that pisses me off the most isn't the wokeness and the wackiness. It's the profiting off stuff where we should have serious conversations about moving the ball forward and talking about true equity when it comes to opportunity. True opportunities and how do we get there and how do we mentor and how do we teach. But for a lot of people, it's about making sure that the victim stays the victim because within that victim, in that part of society, is what? Money. Whether it's immigration. Nobody wants to solve the problem because there's too much money involved. Gun control. Nobody wants to solve the problem. Why? There's too much money involved. Same thing across the board with many of these things. Things that could be worked out with conversation. They won't be perfect, but at the end of the day, it's too much money involved. So when you want to talk about color, it's green. It's green. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. We've got a very special Nature Will Mess You Up coming up in just a little bit. First, talk about home title lock. Now, when I talk about somebody stealing your home, I think a lot of people think that somebody is going to roll up one day and just hook it up to the back of their truck and just take off. Doesn't happen like that. They steal your title. It's very subtle. Cyber criminals are very, very subtle, very subtle. By the time you realize that your house essentially has been stolen, it's too late. You're getting calls and you're getting letters. You're owing tons of money that you didn't take out on your house. And that's what's happening over and over again across this country. And cyber criminals are getting away with it because it's too costly for the average person to fight it. And by the time they realize it's way too late. That's why you need somebody to protect you. Home Title Lock does that. Home Title Lock gives you 24/7 protection. Doesn't matter what happens. All people have to do is go online. Everything's public records. In some cases, it's free. In other cases, they spend a few bucks to find out your address, your name. They forge everything and make out the title to them as if you sold them the house, and then you're done. Fighting to get it back could take years and thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars. Home Title Lock will alert you to anything. If they add a comma, they'll alert you. It's free. It's simple. See for yourself how you can protect yourself. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use code radio. Register your address. Check everything out. 30 days free protection. Take a look. Find out if you've been a victim. HomeTitleLock.com. Code radio. HomeTitleLock.com. Code radio. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
We like to have fun on the show, but we're also very educational. I pride myself on education, especially when it comes to animals. As you guys know, I collect animals. But I'm very careful with my animals. The kids are around the animals all the time. I want my kids to have respect for animals and understanding that they live a very cool life, and we have a lot of cool things, and we're expanding. We're putting together an educational side of stuff, and I'm working with some stuff. We're getting ready to have a new YouTube channel that's going to deal with animals and all kinds of fun stuff, and what we have at our disposal and the people I work with, we got all kinds of stuff. But I'm not an idiot. I'm just going to let you guys know this. I understand that nature, producer Phil, tell everybody again, nature, what nature will do?
Nature will mess you up.
Will mess you up. Case in point, tiger sanctuary, lion sanctuary, big cat sanctuary. Oh, where's my arm?
She says she tripped over debris and fell toward the animal's cage.
What's going on? Somebody got grabbed by one of the tigers.
In an instant, the tiger latched onto her arm.
Grabbing my hand, he had pulled my arm in to his mouth and went up to my elbow, I suppose, and just worked his way up until he got all the way to my shoulder.
Steven's fiance, who also works at the sanctuary, heard her screams and jumped into action.
Yes. So you got a big cat who attacked her, degloved her, as I would say, took it all the way down to the bone. And, that's nasty.
I was very aware of what the risks contained, being around the big cats and having to deal with them so closely.
Yeah, and they do. There's 9 people live full-time at this sanctuary. And it's not open to the public. They've rescued some of these animals. And this one was called Eeyore, obviously very grumpy. And Eeyore attacked. Hand-raised, bottle-fed. And she was attacked. And I'll tell you why. Because you get into a position where you're very comfortable. You've done it 1,000 times. You don't think anything of it. And I've seen it. I've been guilty of it before. And I also recognize that if something happens, nature will mess you up. And most people like this also recognize this is a risk you take. Very much so. You take that risk. I can guarantee you, she has probably turned her back on these big cats 1,000,000 times. I have friends who've been bit by everything from cobras to mambas and people I've worked with in the past. And sometimes stuff happens. But a lot of times you let your guard down. Luckily, she had some bamboo.
He grabbed the bamboo off the ground and went to just put it down the tiger's throat.
Tiger said, I had enough. Sorry about that. I didn't know you were giving us water. I thought you were going to feed me. You know what the tiger said? She's great. Did not say that. Chad, you're awful. Have a great day. Again, we educate you because we care, kids, because we care. We do. Go have a great day. We got you over the hump, which is awesome because that's what we do. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.